This is the Rebel Scum Podcast. Available in video on YouTube and audio wherever you listen to your podcasts. Every week, Brock and James talk the latest rumors, news, and theories from a galaxy far, far away. Support us on Patreon for exclusive offers and join the Star Wars discussion. Patreon.com/RebelScumPodcast. Here are your hosts, Brock and James.
You're always scum. Rebel scum.
Boom. Hello, James.
Whoa!
Star Wars.
It's very Star Wars.
It's been feeling like a drought because there's like nothing going on until next week.
Oh my gosh. Next week it's going to explode. Obi-Wan and Star Wars Celebration.
And Stranger Things Season 4.
Which is Star Wars, technically. Actually, they do have Star Wars references in it. So, I mean, yeah.
They do.
I know, do you hear about the finale of that show? It's going to be 2 hours and 30 minutes long or something like that.
I did not hear that. So that's a movie.
The final episode in July, because they're doing it in two, because Netflix does that weird thing where they split it into two parts and you have to wait like a weird, whatever. They wonder why people are unsubscribing because they're making dumb decisions. Just release the weekly if you want to prolong it that long. But apparently the last episode is 2 hours and 30. It's 2 hours and 30 minutes apparently. And apparently, Brock, the new Thor movie is only 1 hour and 55 minutes, which would make a TV show 35 minutes longer than a theatrical film.
You know what? That's fine because it's like there's too many movies that are like 2.5. Like it just like. Did you look at like the runtimes of most of the Oscar movie of the years? They were all like 2.5 hours. I'm like, how? Like we're in a pandemic where like going to the movies was hard enough. I mean, now you can. It's not a big deal. But like, you know what I mean? Like it's just like.
Well, I always, you know how I always felt. I'm not a huge. I mean, I do like long movies, but I don't know. If you can't tell a movie in like 2 hours, 90 minutes to 2 hours, then maybe you're in the wrong profession. That's what I've always kind of felt because, and everyone always argues it. It's like, but a long movie doesn't make a good movie at all. And I think, I mean, like the Doctor Strange. I haven't seen Doctor Strange Part 2, but it's only like 2 hours and 5 minutes or something, and apparently it's just nonstop, right? And it's like, why? The one thing about streaming that I like. To bring it back to what we're talking about with Star Wars, because people complain like, "Oh, why are the Star Wars episodes only 35 minutes?" Because they don't need more time. Like, could you like any episode of Mandalorian or Boba Fett? If they went longer, we would have been bored. But instead, they cut it off. They're like, "This is what we're telling," and it's not like Rebels was too short but it had to be 22 minutes, right? And then you can think of like other shows where they're too long because they have to be 45 to 50 minutes. Streaming gives you the luxury of being however long you want. And if Stranger Things needs 2.5 hours, which is insane, but if it needs 2.5 hours, give it 2.5 hours. Why they couldn't split that into like 2 or 3 episodes, I don't know. But I mean, that's the one thing I do appreciate about streaming is that there's no time constraints. It's like this: you want 31 minutes, you get 31 minutes. You want 65, you get 65. So
it's so true. But like it's exciting. There's a lot of content coming our way. Like Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Somebody asked me if I was ready. I'm like, I guess it's a TV show.
I always I'm gonna move my camera back a little. I always find it funny when people are like, are you ready for a TV show? Yeah. I didn't work on it. I just have to like my couch has to be more ready than I do. Is it gonna fall apart while I sit on it? That's really the only stress I'm looking for. Did you see that clip that they released of Obi-Wan Kenobi with him? And it's just an extended version of his getting burnt by Owen Lars.
Right.
There's not much there, but actually, I do want to talk to you about this because it's something. I think this is probably from the first episode, but something was brought up in that scene that I never actually ever thought of before for whatever reason. But basically, we've always had this idea that Obi-Wan goes to keep a close eye on Luke. Right, like that's why he's on Tatooine, to keep a close eye on Luke. That's what kind of Revenge of the Sith kind of alludes to. But in this clip, he asks Owen Lars about how the child is, and Owen's like, "You don't care about him. You just want to know if he's showing, so that you can train him." And I kind of like that idea. Like he doesn't, Obi-Wan. he cares about Luke, but he doesn't actually care about Luke. He cares more maybe about the Jedi Order and bringing them back and training Luke than he does about protecting him and actually his well-being.
Yeah, like I like that a lot, though. It's like it's interesting. It's like now they're kind of like backpedaling on what these characters are like. It's sort of like how, we see Luke for the first time in the prequel or the sequels, and he's like not what everyone for the last 30 years, 40 years have expected after the end of the Return of the Jedi. So it's like now it's like, oh look, here's the fault in Obi-Wan. We're like I think it's going to be very, very interesting. So, but it's just like we do have a lot of Obi-Wan in the Clone Wars show. So it's like he's totally capable. It's not like Qui-Gon has been gone for like 5 minutes. Like he's totally capable of being. But like maybe now this is what an Obi-Wan is without the Jedi Council, because he's always sort of listened to the Council to an extent. So like it's.
Yeah, and I think Obi-Wan, I mean, obviously we haven't seen the show, but he might be, I mean, that's what I got from this clip. That might not be exactly how it is, but he obviously still wants to train Luke, and just maybe he's dealing with, for the first time in his life, because he would have been grabbed by the council when he was a child. He's lost, he has no family, he has no one. Owen Lars in that clip makes it clear he doesn't like Ben. Like he's not a fan of Kenobi's at all in that clip, even what you see in the trailer, obviously. So I think it's going to be fun. And also Deborah Chow, and we're going to talk about the Vanity Fair article in a bit. She kind of commented on how she kind of looked to Joker and Logan as two like inspirations for the Obi-Wan movie. And I think, people are reading into it, and, and the Joker hate is coming. I always love when people decide they hate Joker now, but it's it's so stupid. But for me, for what I took out of that was it was more of a character study than anything else. Like we wanted to dive deep into who this character was and what made them tick. And I mean, obviously she's not going to tell the death of this character, but I think in some aspects she will kind of show there will be some growth to Obi-Wan, obviously, and he's going to wind up where we meet him in A New Hope in some capacity, I guess. Maybe not. I mean, he's not going to turn into Alec Guinness. Although I do want to bring up one thing, Brock. I am old now. I'm very old. And one thing I can tell you is people are always like, this is 9 years apart. And they show Ewan McGregor and Alec Guinness, and they're like 9 years apart.
Yeah.
People age like that, man. That's what happens now when you age. You get to that age, and all of a sudden it's like, flip the switch. And it's like, it's scary to think because I'm almost there. But you know what I mean? Like, it's not that hard to believe anymore. Ewan McGregor looks great. He probably won't age like that. But, I mean, it's not that unbelievable anymore.
It's fine. Who cares? Who cares? Like we've had 17 Batmans. Granted, none of the stories are continuations of each other, but I guess. I mean, I guess you could argue that like the Tim Burton, Joel Schumacher Batmans kind of sort of exist in the same universe. So,
well, I think to that point they didn't know what they were doing back then in terms of all that stuff. Like they were just like, just make another one. Yeah, and I mean, whatever. They did what they did, and. Batman and Robin is the best Batman movie of all time.
Yeah, there you go. It's all the same Alfred, so
and the commissioners. Yeah. I'm all I'm all for it. No, I'm looking forward to Obi-Wan. I think though at Celebration we're going to get some Andor footage. We'll probably get some kind of something about Ahsoka. I mean, they just started shooting a few weeks ago for Ahsoka, so we probably won't get any footage, but we'll get something, I'm sure. I mean, we already got Rosario Dawson in that Vanity Fair video. I don't know if you checked that out or not. So much fun stuff going. Like Star Wars is so. I think the timeline of Star Wars now, Brock, is we got Obi-Wan in May, Andor in June, Mando in probably like November, December, and then next year Ahsoka. So we're going to be nonstop Star Wars, and then there's that John Watts show that's coming up. And then the Acolyte is still on the docket. They did not cancel the Acolyte, which was kind of speculated on a few weeks ago, which excites me because I love the idea of a villain-centric show. But I don't know if you read about the John Watts one, but this John Watts idea where it's like Star Wars but Goonies combined. And I'm like, let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. Well, I think what you just said, why not? You got Disney Plus. Just shove it in our faces.
They just made a show about a guy that like has the power of Egyptian gods, like, and it was good. And like, it's one guy, it's a one actor basically talking to himself throughout the entire show. Like, sky's the limit, and like it worked. I liked Moon Knight quite a bit, so like, just go and make it. Why not? Like, I'm trying to think of a Star Wars example. I feel like there was something recently that was like, yeah, that was cool. I don't know. It's, we gotta let Favreau and Filoni do their thing, and then let everyone else just do like, yeah, you want to do Star Wars Visions? Like, sure, that was fun. So
Yeah, I think
yeah,
the people are complaining because I guess the John Watts show is going to take place after Return of the Jedi, which I mean, this is the one issue Star Wars has. Well, there's a few, but the thing is, everyone complains about the time. Like, I'm sick of this time. Let's go to this time. I'm like, why do you want to go? Like, I want to go forward. Don't get me wrong. I do like the idea of going after Rey and all that stuff. That being said, Star Wars. I mean, we all like to pretend like High Republic's. From what I heard, it's great and everything, and I like the idea. But Star Wars is like this time, like what we've had of Star Wars is this time period. And I think we've said this before, where you kind of have, if you want to get out of that time period, you have to organically grow from that time period. Like you have to kind of like even the Acolyte, which takes place 100 years before the prequels. They still have to like say this is 100 years before the like this is like the center of the Star Wars universe is the original trilogy. Like it or not, that's the center of the Star Wars universe, and you can't do anything without that center, and you can't go past that until you do the prequels and the sequels, and then those let you go out. But you have to, I think, exhaust that middle area there, and there's so much story to tell, because if you go too far in the future or the past, it just turns into Valerian.
You know what? Like, it's like you should just keep the film sort of like the flagship of like when you start charging into new territory, and then go from there. I mean, I like the sequels, but not everyone does, so it's sort of like maybe we don't touch anything in that range. Like, okay, I mean, Mandalorian Boba Fett's kind of going into it a little bit, but it's still staying in that like.
Well, they're doing what? Yeah, that's a great point, because they're doing what the Clone Wars did with the prequels, only not as in your face. But like you just said, though, and we're in that era now. So when the prequels came out, I think there was 3 of us that liked the prequels.
Yeah.
And Disney would not touch the prequels with a 10-foot pole. They were like, no prequel, take away all the pod racing flags out of The Force Awakens. We don't want anything to do with the prequels. Now, Obi-Wan Kenobi, we're getting so much prequel love. Like the amount of prequel love in The Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett is insane. We got a Naboo starfighter, for crying out loud. Like all of a sudden, 20 years later, we can start to embrace it. And it might not take that long for the sequels because of social media. I think social media ramps that up a lot, like our nostalgia factor and things. So maybe in 5 years, when the 10-year-olds are now 15, they're like, oh, I'm nostalgic for the sequel. But I think you're right, though. I think you let that breathe for a little while. And if you want to bring Rey back, you Rey. Like Daisy Ridley's not even 30, I don't think, right? So I mean, she's got some time where she could like go do her own stuff and then bring her back in a couple of years. But like Rey's older and wiser. And then you take it from there. I mean, and people who love the sequels might not like that, but I mean, time flies. Let's be honest. Like time goes by so fast that it'll be 20 years, and you'll be like, oh yeah, remember Finn? Finn's now a full-blown Jedi in this new movie that's coming out.
Yeah. And then you're like, oh, I want to know more. Yeah, like that's all Star Wars. It's like, oh, it's like I fought with your father in the Clone Wars, and like, oh, that's a cool idea. What's that about? And then So, yeah, I mean, it's exciting. It's, you know what, like, just sidebar, like High Republic, it's like, yeah, I feel like I haven't thought about that in a while. So it's like, I wonder if I got to look in to see if there's any new books coming out. Yeah, it's exciting. I'm looking forward, especially Celebration coming back in, I would argue, full force. And I believe there's like virtual panels happening as well that you can like apply to go to. I keep getting emails about it, not looking into it, but like I'm sure we're going to get tons of content, and that's going to be very, very exciting.
I can't see how this I think, honestly, I mean, I had a lot of, like, obviously we went to Orlando five freaking years ago, and that was a lot of fun. And Chicago was a good time, but I honestly think that this is going to be the strongest celebration in terms of Star Wars projects to celebrate. Like, I mean, when we went, it was Last Jedi and like a last season of Rebels, and then Battlefront 2. Like, there wasn't much going on Star Wars. It was a great time. I'm not arguing one against the other. It's just in terms of what you're gonna get. Probably this one is probably more stuff's gonna come out. And I got to bring this up to you quickly because people will be going to Celebration and some people will not be going to Celebration. But I know there was a lot of fuss online about The Mandalorian, was it season 1 or 2, where they showed that trailer, but they only showed it for people in the room. And people were complaining that they should show it for everybody. I was on the side, Brock, that I felt that I was okay with it just being for the people that were there, because they're the people that spent a lot of money, a lot of time, and then they want a chance to go in there because of the lottery to get in the room, which kind of sucks. But at the same time, that's the deal. That's what it is. But so I for me, like, I didn't go, and I didn't get to watch it, and I was like, damn. But at the same time, I was okay because they pay a lot of money for that experience. They take time out. That's their vacation. They're diehard fans. And then at the end of the day, I'm going to watch The Mandalorian anyway. So I'm going to, whatever they showed in there, eventually I'm going to see. So that was where I was. I just wanted to know where you were on that.
Oh, no, I fully agree. Like, there's got to be incentive for like paying money and standing in line for hours on end and like being early, like sorry. And someone there will like probably screen grab it or whatever. Like, and you know what? Maybe we can just be surprised. Like, it's like, oh, and just because they show something there doesn't mean it's canon. Until it's on the silver or small screen, then it's canon. Just enjoy like that your hard work, your sacrifice time like gives you that incentive. So that's why you go in person.
For sure. That's how I am too. I mean, like you said, you're gonna see it. We're gonna see it. Let's chill out. Let the people there have a great time. Don't take away from their joy.
Outside of like Grogu, like Hollywood's pretty bad at keeping secrets to begin with. Like, I think I've said this to you many times, James. Like, them showing Natalie Portman in Thor: Love and Thunder was a huge mistake because the reveal of her being in it would be huge if you're in the theater watching it.
I think even have you seen Doctor Strange Part 2?
No, but the internet's ruined everything in it.
Exactly. And not only that, but the weekend before it came out, I just went online and I saw a spoiler of the Illuminati. Like, it was the whole lineup, a shot from the movie that wasn't even out yet. And I actually was like, I think Fantasia messaged me about something else that day, and I said, stay off the internet, because I know he would get. And I'm like, what the hell is this crap? Like, and that stuff is leaked, but is it leaked or is it leaked? Because you've always had that theory where Star Wars leaks things for real, and I kind of buy into that because I've heard people say that happens, and it's a good way to gauge audience reaction. And Grogu did not leak. Like, there was some, and Grogu, come on, who would not want to leak Grogu? Who wouldn't want to be the one to break the news? Like there's a baby Yoda in this show. Who would not want that? So yeah, I think mostly. I mean, I think there are some leaks. I think the Spider-Man No Way Home leak was an accident with the visual. I don't know if you saw that, the visual effects picture, and it was the Doctor Strange dungeon thing where you had all the villains in their cages. That leaked, I think, a few months before, and I think that guy got fired. The visual effects guy. Good. I think that was a legit, like, a leak. But the other stuff, I don't know. You're right. I mean, Hollywood, if they want to keep a secret, it's going to get kept, and if they don't, you're going to see it.
Because think about it, like, the Love and Thunder trailer is pretty awesome, and it doesn't show Natalie Portman till the end. I don't even think you hear her voice at any point. No. So, like, you see that movie, you're like, okay, cool. It's Thor trying to figure himself out after Endgame, and he's going to go on an adventure with the Guardians. Like, sold. I'm in. Like, easy. That's easy.
Yeah, I didn't like the song choice in it, but we'll talk. That's not here there. But just because I'm like, it's overplayed. That was my feeling. I'm just like, come on. The movie looks amazing. I think between that, like, the only movie I want to see more than that, and I haven't seen it yet, is Chippendale Rescue Rangers. That's the only movie, which is also getting spoiled for me. There's a huge cameo in it that got spoiled for me, and I'm very. Have you seen that one yet?
No, not yet. That came out yesterday, right?
Yeah, it came out on the 20th, and a spoiler got spoiled for me, and I was like, "Damn, I wish I saw that in the movie." Because it's one of those things where I think I would have laughed really
Yeah.
hard had I seen it. Anyway, this is a Star Wars podcast.
So
We should do a
what a
Chippendale,
time! What a time, James.
Chippendale Scum. But yeah, so Vanity Fair, the rebellion will be televised, is what they called it. Did you take a look at? There's some. I mean,
Yeah. I looked at
there's
some of the
always nice pictures. I'm probably
Yeah,
gonna
they
pick
do a
this.
good job.
I'm probably gonna pick this up on Tuesday when I'm in the chapters. I can go to chapters on Tuesday, pick it up. We have a holiday on Monday.
Yeah, that's right. Americans have a holiday as well. I had a colleague said, like, "Oh, I heard about this new Star Wars show, Rebellion." I'm like, "Rebellion? What are you talking about?" I was like, "Yeah, there's a Rebellion."
So
And he sent me that link, and it's like the Rebellion was not televised. I was like, "No, these are the new Star Wars shows that are coming out."
that's kind of funny though. I guess it could be confusing if you didn't know, but you'd have to read the show. But I guess if you were intrigued enough, you'd probably you'd probably read it if you could.
Yeah.
I'm curious why I'm going to buy this when the entire article and all the pictures are online. And actually, last time I bought a Vanity Fair, I bought the Vanity Fair for Rise of Skywalker. I bought both covers. Remember the Rey and Kylo?
Yeah.
And if I remember correctly, there were pictures that were not in the physical copy that were online. There were more pictures online.
So.
Yeah, I remember that. I just think we're in such an awesome time for Star Wars, where I honestly believe like this is where George Lucas wanted the franchise to go. This is like he wanted actually this Vanity Fair with Anthony Bresnikan. He did a podcast with Adam Lance Garcia. You can check it out Atlantic Club. And they talked a little bit about it, and they talked about how this all it all kind of started from Underworld, like George Lucas Underworld, and how he wanted to do it. They had all the scripts written, but at the time technology wasn't there and it was way too costly, so he abandoned ship on it. But they've kind of used all the lessons learned, and then Favreau came in, and the volume stagecraft kind of allowed them to do the Star Wars show that Lucas was never able to do 10 15 years ago. Which is a cool story. Whatever. I'm a nerd.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, I always like that Vanity Fair does this. It's just like once you've seen the pictures, it's I know what it is too. It's like these pictures are gonna just be all over social media as well. So it's like I don't search out the articles anymore. I just like, oh, there it is. Very nice. Yeah.
No, I just I follow like Adam Lance Garcia and I are friends on Twitter. We follow each other on Twitter. We're besties. Those and and he just retweeted the podcast, and I was like, well, and I think I was working outside or something on like our garden, and I decided to put my headphones on and just listen to it, and it was a good conversation. It kind of because Kathleen Kennedy also talks about how they learned their lesson on recasting Han Solo and stuff like that. I mean, that was taken, I think, largely out of context, and I mean, she kind of talked about how they did it and it failed and they learned not to do that again. And I think people took it as an attack on Alden Ehrenreich. And I think it was more just the whole idea. And it's all a learning curve. And people, as much you and I obviously love Solo. We saw it twice in the theater together.
Yeah.
But we do the rankings every year, Brock. Every year I do the rankings. And every year Solo. So The Last Jedi and Solo obviously are like, this is how it goes. Okay. The Last Jedi is a lot of people's like bottom of the list movie, right? But it's also a lot of people's like number 1 or number 2 movie.
Yeah.
So it's like very divisive. But Solo is either on the bottom or like mid to bottom on most of the lists.
Right.
And I've had a few people like, I wanted to put Solo last, but I know you love it, so I didn't. I get a lot of those emails as well when people give the list. So I think as much as we all love Solo, I think the grand scope and like the larger general audience, they kind of take a pass on Solo more than we do as diehard fans.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like an example of Solo. Solo is good, but then it felt subject to they had to start over. Like they had to stop with their original idea and start over. It's like. And perhaps you could say that about some of the sequels too, with like the passing of Carrie Fisher. Then they had to rejig it, and so it's like,
Yeah.
They had to fire a bunch of people. So it's like
there were a lot of
I don't know.
variables.
Yeah, like it's just like and I hate knowing all that. So it's like people that like Solo, like I think we all started in the back of our heads like I like this, but I know it could have been better. Not to say that Lord and Miller had a better idea, but because they had to like stop and redo everything, it's like you lose like the thread sometimes.
And that's one thing people also forget is when she mentions how they learned their lesson on that. Part of that too is the Lord and Miller version. Apparently, Ehrenreich was very like Jim Carrey slapsticky Han Solo. Like he wasn't. So that could be another thing. Is maybe like it's hard to go back and do these characters with a new actor taking a new approach to it. And I don't think it's every character she's talking about. I think it's like beloved characters because obviously we're getting Ahsoka, we're getting Obi-Wan was obviously recast. There's differences, but I just think people took what she said in the wrong light, which is surprising, obviously. But I don't know. I think Solo obviously didn't do very well in the box office. I mean, it still made a ton of money, but it didn't do very well. And there's a lot of variables why. And I just think I remember when the movie ended, we were all happy. And I remember my mom, who likes every movie and likes every Star Wars movie, she didn't like Aaron Ehrenreich's Han Solo. And I think Harrison Ford is a really tough actor to swap. Like, because he's, remember when they were talking about like recasting Indiana Jones like 10 years ago, like 8 years ago? And everyone was like, Chris Pratt. I didn't think Chris Pratt was right either. I think the closest actor, and I don't think this guy should have played Han Solo at all. Don't quote me on that. But I think like Chris Pine reminds me of like a Harrison Ford, where he can be like tough and suave, but also like, because Harrison Ford is like, you're like, he's the toughest guy in the room, and then like the next minute he's yelling, screaming, running away from stormtroopers and telling Jacques to get the plane fly. Like he's got this quality to him that it's really hard to emulate. That like there's just something about him, and you can argue, what's his name, Anthony and Gruber or whatever, but like it's like doing his voice isn't doing his. He's just, there's something about him. And so what I'm saying though is like, if you can't get past that, which that's a big part of Han Solo, Ehrenreich isn't Harrison Ford, and he shouldn't be. And that's one of the things I liked about his performance was that he kind of did his own thing. But he's more Christian Slater.
I don't know. That's in the past. This new era that's coming of Star Wars stuff. I mean, I'm super psyched for Ahsoka, and that's still way off in the distance. But like Mandalorian season 3, and it's like we've already had season 2.5 in Boba Fett, so it's like they can go. They can just completely start a whole new story at this point. So not have to like they can go immediately into what they're gonna do with the Darksaber and where Moff Gideon is and da 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 da. So like, woo! I'm excited.
Yeah, Ahsoka is going to be a lot of fun. And look, Ahsoka, like everyone, Ashley Eckstein, whatever, but Ahsoka is a new character for a lot of Star Wars fans. Yeah. And that's exciting because you're taking... it took them a long time, but they're finally accepting and appreciating what came before. And, people, I know Filoni is a hot topic, but man, like him forcing his hand and putting Ahsoka in Rebels might end up being the best thing to happen to Star Wars. like as weird as that sounds, because when she first showed up in Rebels, I was like, oh god, Ahsoka. Like that was my feeling. Sorry if I'm offending you. But then I was like, oh, I like Ahsoka now. What's happening? And now she keeps showing up and she's playing a part in the bigger Star Wars storyline. It's like maybe, obviously that wasn't the plan when it happened, but now it's like, well, that could be the best decision that's been made in the last 10 years of Star Wars, at least.
Yeah. So sweet. Star Wars, James. Star Wars.
All right, we'll move on to the odds, I guess.
Never tell me the odds.
I don't have the video in. Give me 1 second. I'm not gonna cut this either, though. This is gonna be the best part. Is I'm gonna leave this in. For. Yeah, hold on. I'm gonna go RSP clips. Watch this, and never tell me the odds. Open.
Never tell me the odds.
What are they?
The probability of successfully navigating an asteroid field is approximately 3,720 to 1.
Never tell me the odds.
Yeah, Aaron Reich.
And Never Tell Me the Odds, brought to you by patreon.com/Rebel Scum podcast. If you like what we do, why don't you come over and support us? Because we would greatly appreciate that. Today our internet works, but tomorrow it might not work. It's been pretty solid today. We should record during the day all the time. But if you like what we do and you want to support us, head on over to patreon.com/Rebel Scum podcast and check out what we have for anyone that feels like they can support us, like the following wonderful people: Heidi Feder, executive producer; Barry Brophy, Dennis Allen, Randy Kenobi, Mary Kristen Aton, Jeff Wilson, Phil Stanifor, Scott D, Josh Price, Matt W,
Rez, Frank Perkins, Neil Lowry, Cosmic Girl 02, Gleek Play 1, Disney Desi, Charlotte, Kayla Davis, Dana Nerds, and the Girls with Sabers.
Boom. Thank you to all those wonderful people. And thank you for just listening, if you're listening or watching or whatever you do with this podcast.
Probably using it as a paperweight. I don't know how, but somebody is. All right, Never Tell Me the Odds brought to us by Patreon. Thank you so much for all your support. Never Tell Me the Odds. The first Darth Plagueis will be in the Acolyte. Are we going to see Plagueis at all in the Acolyte?
Yes, 80%. But I don't know how that's going to work, because it's like they haven't really set up any Sith in the High Republic yet. But what do I know?
Well, the High Republic is 200 years before Phantom Menace, right? And this is 100 years before Phantom Menace. So I guess that gives them a lot of leeway and leverage, like, to do what they want. I'm going to go 51%. I think it would make sense, but I believe it's like a ninja type show with a female lead. Maybe they could make female Plagueis a female, I guess, couldn't they? Like, is it ever distinctly mentioned that Plagueis is a dude? Like in canon, and the only time in canon he's mentioned is in the Revenge of the Sith. So, I'm going to 51%. Our next Reva McEntire will turn to the light side by the end of the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. Will she become a
zero.
good guy?
I'm going to go 0 on this. I don't like it. No, sir, I don't like it.
Do you know what I don't like about this character right now? Is not the character, but I read this thing where they're like, apparently by the end of this, like, no one knows what happened to her, and I'm hoping they just said that so that we don't know her fate in the Kenobi series, and like, they're kind of instead of like she just vanishes at the end of the show. I hope that doesn't happen. I hope she has a distinctive ending, whether it's like, you know, she dies or she lives and does this. I don't want her to just vanish by the end. I'm gonna go 11%.
Right. Right on.
Yeah, just 11%, because again, that would be stupid. Well, yeah, I mean, she was good, right? Because she would have been a Jedi, and now she's turned into an Inquisitor. So why would she go? I don't want flip-flopping. And our final line is from Heidi. What are the odds that through the Force, Yoda and Obi-Wan will disagree about training Leia?
See, I like this one because not so much like the dropping of Leia or Luke in Obi-Wan. I like the idea that like Obi-Wan and Yoda are talking to each other. So it's like, I never really assumed that they wouldn't be like distant during this, but like it would be sweet to like get more of, you know, those conversations that you see Obi-Wan and Yoda have in, I guess, both Empire and Jedi. I think it's more Jedi. Like, no, it's Empire. So it's like that dialogue, if there's like a continuation, so it's like the conversation that we hear when Luke is standing there to like what happens prior to all that. I think that'd be really, really interesting if it was like, oh, they said some little term here that now we are explaining that no one's ever really clicked into. Like, that would be awesome. I want to go 80% strictly on the fact that, like, yeah, force phone call of Obi-Wan to Yoda would be a force Skype.
I'm going to go 72%. 72%. I love that idea. Everything you just said, I love it. I think
yeah,
more of that. Why not? If you can do it, do it. And we all know that we go bonkers for Yoda.
Yeah.
I think that's become very clear. I tried to take a picture of you doing that, but it's not in focus.
Nice.
I'm blind as a bat. Top 5?
So 251. Top 5. Let's do it.
Top five Obi-Wan Kenobi moments from the movies. Oh, I guess we should have added Clone Wars in this, but none of mine are from Clone Wars. So we should bring up, actually, I sent you this thing. Disney UK posted the watch list for the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. Could we talk about this for 1 second? Because it's the watch list is Friday, May 20th. You got to watch The Phantom Menace, okay? Saturday, May 21st, you watch Attack of the Clones. Fair. Sunday, May 22nd, you watch the Clone Wars movie. Monday, the 23rd, watch Clone Wars Season 2, Episode 12 to 16. Tuesday, the 24th, you watch Season 4 of the Clone Wars, Episodes 15 to 18. And Wednesday, May 25th, you watch the Clone Wars Season 5, 14 to 16. And then Thursday, the 26th, you watch Revenge of the Sith. And then on the 27th, you watch Obi-Wan Kenobi, the show, the first 2 episodes. A lot of the Clone Wars shows, Brock, those episodes are very Satine heavy.
Oh, yeah, that's what I assumed because I haven't looked at which ones they were, but like I knew that like they have to be Obi-Wan centric. So
yeah,
I love this idea. I don't have time to watch something every day, but I might try to like do the time, like figure out all the time. So it's 3 movies and I think like 12 episodes. It's like that's probably what, about 9-10 hours. Like maybe I can make that happen before Obi-Wan. Like I think this is awesome, and I hope it's like legit and not just like someone in marketing who's like, oh, this is an Obi-Wan one. Like I hope there's some like actual validity to this. Like I think that's genius, and they should always do this with. Yeah,
I agree. It's I saw it. I was like, whoa, that's awesome. Like there's thought into it. Yeah, I love that. So we'll post that on Facebook. Sure. Why not?
Yeah, Disney Plus needs to do a lot more of like they use their platform as a place for fans to exist. So all the trailers they need to drop and be on your main thing, or like don't have commercials before, like have the trailers, or I don't know, something that's worthwhile being a Disney Plus subscriber, and like, or just like checklists like this. Like this is genius.
Yeah, it's such a good idea, and I am here for it. I'm probably gonna try to watch what I can. All right, top 5 Obi-Wan Kenobi moments from the movies, or if you want Clone Wars, Brock, you like Clone Wars. My number 5 is another happy landing.
My number 5 is I'm just gonna get the meme out of the way. The hello there, General Kenobi, or General Kenobi, hello there, out of the way. Yeah, fantastic.
My number 4 is when he says, hello there to Luke Skywalker in A New Hope, when we first meet him in A New Hope. Also, I like when he's like walking down.
Yeah.
Great intro.
My number 4 is going to be when he fights Jango Fett in Camino or whatever on the, what do you call that? Like the takeoff platform. Yeah, and he's just, half the time he's just soaked because it's raining or like waves.
I love that scene. It's not in my top 5. My number 3 is hello there to Grievous. It's just gonna be every time he says hello there. It's gonna be that.
Hello there.
Hello there.
I like when he turns off the shields in the Death Star, or the force field in the Death Star, because I work in broadcasting and they have a thing on switchers called T-bars, which is basically what you see when they shoot the Death Star, because they just use video equipment to make it look like a control deck. I'm pretty sure he like pulls something down and goes, doo. So when I'm at work, I'm always thinking that sound.
It's so true. I always did that as a kid too. Whenever, boom. I still do that. Whatever. My number 2 is you were my brother, Anakin. The whole fight with Vader at the end of Revenge of the Sith. That whole scenario is in there.
Yeah, mine is. I have the high ground.
Yeah. And my number 1 is in Attack of the Clones, just the speeder chase. I just love the speeder chase.
My number 1 is Alec Guinness's monologue that set up the entire sequel. Is like, your father was an amazing pilot. We fought together in the Clone Wars.
Unbelievable.
Here's something shocking, though, James. Not one of us talked about the Duel of the Fates.
No, I thought about it, but that's more. I mean, until the end, that's more Qui-Gon than
That's true. That's true.
Obi-Wan. So yeah, I did think about it, but I decided to go with him versus Vaderkin instead. That was a
Vaderkin.
that was a Vaderkin. You're my brother, Bananakin. I mean, they're also there's so many good moments. You know, what are you gonna do? It's Star Wars. It's Obi-Wan Kenobi. His show comes out in a few days. It's all very exciting. Anything that is anything you're hoping to see in this show, or anything you're hoping not to see in the show? Or you're like, oh, I hope they don't go too far on this, or are you just like, bring it?
No. You know what? I want to see Jar Jar Binks. There, I said it.
Yeah, me too. Did you in interview, I think, with Vanity Fair, he said like, "Oh, it'd be nice to see if Jar Jar nice to see Jar Jar again." And it's kind of like, are you hinting at it? Like that was my first thing. Is like, are you kind of like hinting at Jar Jar? It would make sense. Like I think it'd be kind of cool, even though in the Aftermath books you kind of understand that he went back to Naboo. But I still think it'd be kind of cool if Jar Jar was on Alderaan with Leia or something, like for a little while. I mean, whatever. He could be like, I'm Misa here, Misa going on my starship to Naboo now. Like I think it would be kind of cool to see that. I don't think they'll do that because of where they threw him in the Aftermath books, which whatever. But yeah, I'd be down for it for sure. More Yusa Jar Jar. All right, this is episode 251 of the Rebel Scum podcast. Brock has to go to the Jays game now.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't bring it in, but I got the Chewbacca.
Oh, you got it?
That thing. I'll show it next episode.
Awesome. Yeah, I saw a picture of it. Din, our friend Din from F105, he went to the Jays game just to get that. I don't even think he stayed for the game. He just got that and left. All right, everyone. Thanks for watching. Give us a like and a subscribe and all of that stuff. And he's Brock. I'm James, and he was always Scum.
Rebel Scum. Pew, pew, pew.
Scumbags, thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up on our video. As always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rebel Scum Podcast, for all the latest videos.